because they're coming up with all these new forms of batteries. And I think it was Iraq, I'm not sure, Iraq or Iran. By some strange coincidence, and I do that because I don't believe in coincidence, round about the time I saw this, there was some American geologists, geographists, whatever, out in one of these countries that now we're at war with, and they just found, let me get this right, I think it was $20 trillion worth of lithium. So this is why I say, when you hear we're going to war with somebody, forget what they say, see what resources they've got, and then you'll find out the real reason why we're going into these countries. It's got nothing to do with because it's terrorists or anything like that, it's because they want the resources. I didn't really want to get into that sort of thing because I wanted this to be a positive thing. But I sort of knew we'd get like this. It did until then when I did the talk. It sort of messed around with it a bit. So, yeah, what I suggest, we'll finish with this, but what I suggest is everybody in the Occupy movement makes themselves very familiar with this. Universal Declaration of Rights, Human Rights, and not necessarily, because Gary Davis created what's called the World Citizen Passport. No, you've not heard of the World Citizen Passport?
World Citizen Passport.
Sorry?
There is actually a World Citizen Passport.
Oh yes. There's a World Citizen Passport, there's a World Citizen Birth Certificate, there's a World Citizen something else. There's a few different pieces of documentation you can get. Now, Gary Davis, the main exponent for this, has been arrested many times for using his World Citizen. But at the same time, he's had a few countries which have signed a declaration which states you can use it. Tanzania is one of the countries. I think the mainly African countries that have signed this. But over the last 60 years, something like between 140, 180 different countries have accepted it at one time or another. So yeah, familiarise yourself with this, familiarise yourself with the philosophy of world citizenship, because I think that's one of the first steps to becoming an open, free society, is you get that mentality in your mind of, I am personally responsible for every single human being on this planet, because any action I do creates a reaction somewhere else, be it positive or negative. I'm not just saying it's all negative, but every action has a reaction. Is it Newton's law? One of Newton's laws?
I think it's Newton's.
Is it one of Newton's laws? For every action there's a reaction. So,
Newton or was it Einstein?
sorry?
Newton or Einstein?
Yeah, one of the great brainwaves, brain people. I actually came up with a little thing. Okay, we human beings will not realise our full potential until we fully accept our responsibility for every other being, or human being on planet Earth. Because I'm really starting to feel that I'm reaching my full potential. And part and parcel of that was accepting responsibility. Not just going, oh, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do, it's not my responsibility. It is. God damn it, it's every single person's responsibility for what goes on in this world. We've just been convinced through propaganda and the rest of it that we're not. All we're responsible for is our own little community. And it's rubbish. It's rubbish. We are responsible for everybody. Everything.
How did you accept responsibility? How did you accept?
How did I accept responsibility? I stopped thinking of myself as an Englishman for a start off, and started trying to think of, I didn't completely finish that, but more and more I consider myself a world citizen. And to be a world citizen, there's some interesting questions that came about through this, for another little thing. Oh, I didn't bring it with me. But there's a thing called synergy.
Yeah.
Synergy. It's sort of like a side thing that came about from the World Citizen. I don't know too much about it because I haven't looked into it. I've been trying to do other stuff. But there's a questionnaire that's asked in this synergy, and one of the things that's asked is what makes you what do you think makes you a world citizen? And this is where I came up with, this is my philosophy, accepting responsibility for every other human being on the planet. That's where I got it from, was that one question. And I thought about it, and I thought, okay then for me, to be a world citizen, I have to accept responsibility for all other world citizens. It's, I think it's, once again, it's a personal choice, a personal thing. You can get to the same point I am your own way. This is just how I weave my way up to this point, was looking into things.
It sounds abstract. Take a responsibility for everything.
Okay.
That's it.
Really?
I think
Let's look at it. Because we've not accepted responsibility for every other human being in the planet, there are certain areas in this world where 30,000 children a day die from starvation. Do you not feel responsible for that? Do you not think that somehow a little bit of responsibility comes to you? Because I'll give you an example. South Africa has got one of the largest deposits of gold and diamonds still. But when you go out to South Africa, all you see is poverty. All you see is poverty. And have you got any diamonds? Have you got any gold? Do you want any gold? Do you want any diamonds?
No.
No. Responsible people. Because you understand it. There are certain things that we get that other people pay for. Okay? So, lots of things.
Yeah.
But I just chose South Africa because I happen to have been out there and I happen to have seen with my own eyes. Our country can be so rich, but so poor. Yeah? And this is going to happen to all countries. All countries, first world countries, are going to be made into third world countries. I can give you a little taster of what I mean. I saw an interview with an English minister a few years ago, and he was asked, if England carries on in the way it's going, what do you see the future of England in 10, 15 years' time? And I've got to say it this way, with a smile and a laugh in his voice, he said it will be like Zimbabwe. I don't want that, because I've been out in Zimbabwe, and trust me, it's even worse in South Africa. They've got one main road through the entire country, and I think Zimbabwe is bigger than quite a lot of Europe put together, you know what I mean? So, once we start accepting responsibility for other human beings, we make sure, personally, that there will not be 30,000 children a day dying of starvation. We personally will go to whatever lengths to get to that point. What I must say right now, before we go any further, is this little talk, I've called it my vision of the future, 10 steps to get there. Each of these steps will empower an individual a little bit more. Each time we take a little bit of power back, we'll start feeling a bit more powerful, start feeling a bit stronger, we'll start feeling that we can be as much a part of any change that occurs in the world as any president, any minister, anybody, because we can. All we've got to do is just simply say, I will no longer take this. I refuse to let you, whoever it is, dictate to me how I live my life. And I don't like money as well. Money's another thing that I really don't like. But everybody loves it, everybody uses it. And yet I think it's such a controlling system that, as my friend Mark will confirm, in England there's a thing been going on for quite a few years now called the lawful rebellion. And one of the biggest pieces of information we found out as this lawful rebellion came into being is that when you're dealing with the law and the police, for instance, you're at a slight disadvantage because when you talk to the police, you talk to them in your language, which is Dutch, mine's English. But when they speak to you, they use another language. It's called legalese. Okay, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. I love this example because it's just perfect to describe what I'm talking about now. When I talk to an English police officer, at some point he will say to me, "Do you understand me?" Now me, knowing English a little bit, I understand that what understand means is, yeah, I get it. But in legalese, if you say, "Yes, I understand you," you then say, through legalese, that you stand under the police officer's authority. Yeah? You don't understand, you stand under their authority. Check legalese out. This is a real language. I'm not joking. Mark will confirm what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's true.
This is a language that the law and the police deal with you. They don't deal with you in Dutch or English.
Also, the judge used it.
The law system uses a language of its own, legalese. I've even seen it in movies, being spoken in movies, I've read it in books. It's a real language, legalese. You see, so straight away, that simple little piece of information empowered me personally so much. And the other stuff that the Lawful Rebellion's doing now. You want to see me talking to the police now. It's an amazing thing. It's just totally changed the way I deal with the police. I used to be of the attitude all coppers are bastards. Now I'm of the attitude all coppers are human beings. Because I no longer stand under them. I know I'm level. And I feel like I'm getting higher than them. With the more information I get, the stronger I feel, the more powerful I feel. I've actually talked to police officers where they've come up to me and said, "We're taking that off you," because I was making a joint in public. "We're taking that off you." And after 10 minutes of talking to them, he gave me my stuff back and he walked around away with his head down. Because I told him, I didn't fear him. I told him, I said, "Listen, I'm in the middle of nowhere and you're telling me I can't smoke in public." But anyway, that's a little side issue. But this is what I'm talking about, is the empowering, the empowerment. So, we're going to my next subject, which is education. See you later, Laurie. Is education.
First step is Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Second step is education.
Education, re-education. Okay. I've been looking into this. This is what we was talking about earlier. About if I'd have had these certain things, and we're going to talk about them now. There's a thing called cooperative community schooling. Heard of it? Beautiful idea. It's a school that's run by the community, and it's created by the community. So, what happens? First step, building.
Yes, I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, building.